Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you guys my Ally of Justice Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile. We have a little special of mine that I made with my friend Anthony going on for the channel this month. We're doing a month of Hidden Arsenal in which we will basically be having a bunch of different decks that involve all the different Hidden Arsenal archetypes and some of our favorites from the set. If you guys don't know what Hidden Arsenal is, it's basically a special set that released a bunch of different decks for Yu-Gi-Oh! Involved around the dual terminal storyline, which was a big Yu-Gi-Oh! Planet and had a bunch of different deck types basically fight it out for peace on the planet. And one of the first decks that got released were the Ally of Justice, which were exactly as the name says, a group of monsters that were created to combat the evil of the worms that were invading the dual terminal planet. So they're basically the weapons you can see as they're dark type monsters made to combat the light worm monsters during the time of the dual terminal storyline. And they kind of were created from the original Flame Veil, Mist Valley, and all the other X-Sabers and whatnot that were on the planet to begin with, who had to defend their home. But enough with the dialogue, let's go ahead and jump right into the deck profile. And once again, thanks to my friend Anthony for letting me use his Ally Justice deck. Me and him will be going back and forth for the different decks for this month and all the different ones. You'll know which ones are obviously mine and which one are his. But enough talk, let's go ahead and get started. Now, Ally of Justice is one of the difficult decks to build because the deck as a whole is more of a deck that involves different types of cards that are used in other decks to basically help with side deck and whatnot because they work better individually. But we tried our best, especially him since he did the majority of this deck, to make it work. So let's go ahead and jump right in. 2 Ally of Justice Core Destroyer. Now all the Ally of Justice monsters involve destroying light monsters or in some variant like that. With this card, if it attacks or is attacked by a light monster, destroy that monster at the start of damage step without damage calc. So it's kind of like a mini Ally of Justice Catastor, and the stats don't really matter. You just gotta make sure you're going up against a light monster, which are a majority of monsters in a lot of decks you see nowadays, so not too big of a problem there. And also 3 Ally of Justice Quarantine. This card is and has been used in a lot of decks to combat light. It's a pretty basic effect of neither player can special summon light monsters, and it's got a pretty good attack stat as well, meaning 1700 attack, difficult to get over, but like I said, it really locks down a lot of decks that would either benefit from getting a lot of heavy play light monsters on the field. And the fact that it is a level 4 monster means that you can do some pretty easy exceed summons as well, and make use of the machine type as well. I mean, you can go into cards like Yugioh X, or even other cards like Heavy Armored Train Iron Wolf, which we use in the deck as well. Moving right along, we also run 3 Ally of Justice Nullifier, another level 4. Any light monster that has battled this card has its effects negated, banished after damage calculation. So it's pretty good. Oh, I thought it said banish, but it actually says starting after damage calculation. So basically negate the effect. So anything that would benefit from after destruction effects is pretty much stopped by this guy. And once again, a 1600 attack point stat. The biggest thing with the deck is setup, basically. Since none of them really have too many special summon capabilities, you have to make sure you have field control on the field. Otherwise, you won't have much to go off of with their plays, which a lot of their plays involve either synchro summoning or, like I said, just getting out a monster from the extra deck for a true offensive play. Also, 1 Ally of Justice Cosmic Gateway, one of your more bigger, heavy set monsters to get out. If your opponent controls 2 or more monsters, including a light monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. And for a 2400 attack point monster with 1200 defense, you're basically looking at a 2 tribute Monarch monster to get out, but you want to go off of the fact that they might have that light monster to go on with a lot of decks. Like I said, it is a common factor to see light monsters. I know that probably the most played monster are Earth, but light is really up there as well. And like I said, this deck will basically be matchup depending on what you're going against. Like, this does have a lot of potential if you're going up against Light Sworn and all they have are a bunch of light monsters out on the field. And something to help speed up just the general Ally of Justice monsters, 3 Black Salvo. It's an easy special summon when it's normal summon. Target 1 level 4 Dark Machine type monster in your graveyard. Special summon that target in defense, but its effects are negated. Literally grab any of the other monsters that were already listed for this card, and Black Salvo is a tuner as well, so you can make use of that for synchro summons into some bigger monsters, because like I said, all in all, if you are going up against something that doesn't really go off against light monsters too much, rely on your synchro plays. And since they are machines as well, we're also trying out the Machina engine as well. So 3 gear frames. This card with Fortress is your basic key play for the deck. So 3 gear frame and 3 Machina Fortress. Like I said, it's just a powerhouse play for offensive capabilities that you can do with the deck. So having the 3 and 3 just really speed it up, and since you can use the basically the Ally of Justice monsters for special summoning out Fortress as well, you have that benefit also. And for hand consistency, 3 card Ds. Rely on your back row when you use this card, or just play out to the next turn if you can be with this, just for that tribute to draw 2, because those extra cards in your hand might just be what you need to get through to the next turn as well. And lastly, you can't have an Ally of Justice deck without Gen X Ally Birdman. It is more of a Gen X monster, but the card does help with easy special summon capabilities with this card. Either you can go off a black salvo, then return the salvo to special the Birdman to reuse the salvo again next turn, or you can either have another monster on the field bounce back for this Birdman if you already have something else that you want to use on the field with it. And that is it for the monsters. A pretty general basic deck build. For the structure between the two, you don't want to have too many Ally of Justice cards, because otherwise it will counteract a lot of your plays and slow you down. Opening up too many in your hand can be a negative against you, because you'll just be too slow to get them out. Having the other engine does help a lot. But moving on, also 3 Mystical Space Typhoon. This can be Twin Twister if you want to try it out just for extra back row grab, or basically Cosmic Cyclone if you want to go for more of a banish kind of play. It's basically player preference with this card. Also, bearing in mind that the one thing that kills this deck is just your opponent stopping your plays. So taking out cards like Bottomless Trap Hole or Solemn Warning or Solemn Strike with this card can really help when some of your bigger synchro plays go off. And also 1 limiter removal. They're all machine types, so this is basically just a standard staple to run in this deck. If you have your field full of Ally Justice monsters, using this card for that double attack can make or break a lot of your game-winning plays. Plus, Book of Moon, standard staple once again. It helps to get rid of big, heavy monsters on the field. Foolish Burial. This card is used with cards like Iron Call and Call the Haunted, which we also run, which we will get to in a bit. Like I said, Iron Call, running one of this. I've tried this out in my Speedroid deck. Just running one of this card helps, because it does have an effect negation play, and you can either want to run back to the front or Call the Haunted instead, since the monsters will still keep their abilities as well. Preferably Call the Haunted so you can have them in attack mode when you activate the card, because a lot of them do involve attacking cards that you want to use, and back to the front will put them in defense, which is kind of going against what you wanted to do. Also, 2 DNA Transplant. You activate by declaring 1 monster attribute. All face-up monsters become that attribute, so meaning that your opponent's monsters are now light, puts them at a huge disadvantage to your Darkness Ally of Justice monsters. So having this card can really help for them having what basically would become light monsters on the field. If you're playing against a deck that is already light monsters, you can side this out for basically some better side support. But other than that, if they're running no light monsters, this is your best go-to card. But still only running it at 2. If you run 3 and you open up this card, you basically just transform their attribute to something else and really did nothing else. And also 2 Call the Haunted, just like I said, standard special summoning to get back on the field. If you wanted to take out the Book of Moon, you could run Soul Charge instead, just as an extra special summon swarm to the field if you wanted. It's just if you preferred that swarm speed style instead. Plus 2 Solemn Strike. Best way to also stop your opponent's big monsters from going off and keep your plays going is by using this card. Breakthrough Skill, if you wanted to put in basically Solemn Warning, you can swap this card out for it, but it's just another key tech card, player preference by Anthony. And 1 Bottomless Trap Hole, 1 Compulse as well. Compulse is good because you can bounce back some of your other monsters to reuse, like I said, like Black Salvo, if need be, to reuse again, because that card really does help speed up a lot of cards in the deck. And to wrap up, just 1 Quaking Mirror Force and 1 Mirror Force. You can either use Storming Mirror Force for your 2-card play here, or you could try any variety of Mirror Forces that you want with this deck. Try 2 standard. It's surprising how good this card has been with playtesting a lot of these tier 2 meta decks, because a lot of the times they just don't see it coming when they try and swing big against you, and you end up destroying a lot of their resources. But Quaking Mirror Force can also be good running the 2 of. It's basically what you prefer as the player, because it can slow their plays down by setting down all their monsters, and if they don't have something to get over that, they'll be at a big disadvantage. And that is it for the main deck. We'll move on to the extra. 2 Heavy Armored Train Iron Wolf, a very powerful Exceed monster, and you need 2 level 4 machine types, which is very easily accessible in this deck, so definitely a good of in this deck. It can win you a lot of games as well. Gear Gigan X, he's that basic search for your machine type monsters, grab the preferred one you need. And also 1 Abyss Dweller, 1 Gaga Cowboy, 1 number 39 Utopia, and 1 number 101 Silent Arc. If you have Utopia the Lightning, you could probably take out the Arc for the Lightning if need be. And for the Synchro monsters, I run 1 Stardust Charge Warrior, 1 Samurai Destroyer, really good card in the deck and very easy to get out since it is a level 7 Synchro with Black Salvo. Same with Black Rose Moonlight Dragon, Black Rose Dragon, Dark Strike Fighter, Clear Wing Synchro, Odd Eyes Meteor Burst, and Leo, Keeper of the Sacred Tree. Now, if you wanted to run Link monsters, you could probably take out the Leo and maybe 1 of the Iron Wolf, put in a Decode Talker, and possibly Proxy Dragon if need be. My recommendation for that on the deck. But yeah, that's it for the first deck profile of Month of Hidden Arsenal. I hope you all stay tuned. We have a bunch of different variety of decks for the Month of Hidden Arsenal, so definitely look forward to it. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and Kira Twig out.